Hi, and welcome to this module on preparing for those migraine days and kind of foods that we can have to help support us on those days too. Obviously the reason you're here is that you are getting migraines, and when those days strike, and certainly until we start working on optimizing your body's functioning and reducing down those migraine days, this is something that I thought was really important to address and consider. So when we are looking at those days when they strike, being prepared for them can really take the stress and the anxiety away from you. And certainly if you have to look after yourself and fend for yourself, that can be really stressful, because when you can barely be able to move or function, it's not easy. And you don't necessarily want to go into a situation where you end up really dehydrated and end up also, with your blood sugar levels spiking all over the place because, you haven't eaten, or fasting for a long period of time can really not be helpful for a migraine sufferer. So choosing some foods or being prepared for them is really helpful. And so doing things like batch cooking and having maybe soups and stews and dinners available in the freezer that are migraine friendly for those days, so that you could take something out in the morning and then not have to worry about cooking for yourself or the family later on in the day, can be really helpful. And you will thank yourself for doing that batch cooking at that stage. Also make sure that you're hydrated, so ensure that maybe you have some maybe glass bottles, or get a big jug so that you can take that and have that by your side so that you keep yourself hydrated. Sometimes having things like electrolytes can be helpful at that stage as well, so having them on hand. But equally, you could do some fun things with that and make some electrolyte kind of lollies. So having lemon and lime. You might want to go ginger, for example, if you're feeling nauseated. And these can be helpful. And sometimes people find having something cold as well can be helpful for that vasoconstriction. And equally, some people want something warm for that vasodilation. So you can play around with those type of things as well. So you can have something like that prepared in the freezer. And if you do want to go for kind of like hydration from a lollies point of view, try and make them from, if you're going to buy them from the supermarket, try and get them as natural as you possibly can. So try to make sure it's from fruits only, for example, and not all the added sugars, because again, it will be too stimulating and spiking on your blood sugar levels and not necessarily helpful for your recovery. We want to keep your blood sugar levels stable, because this can be really helpful for migraine, because if we go for long periods of fasting, for example, or having something really sugary and we get the drop, this up and down of your blood sugar levels can be really stimulating. And for me, that can be something that's very triggering for a migraine. So I try to keep some handy things in my handbag while I'm out and about, so that I can try and stabilize my blood sugar level if that situation arises. I really like these as my first choice. These are something that I always have in my handbag, and I have them sort of in the house as a snack for a migraine-friendly snack. These are by Nutreat, and I will put a link in the module for you. They're roasted lentils, and they're cooked only with natural ingredients. They're cooked in extra virgin olive oil, which is rare to find. So a lot of snacks are cooked in vegetable oil and sunflower oil, which can be very inflammatory. And so for a migraine brain can be not helpful. And some people, it can even be really triggering. So this is a top find, and they have 7 grams of protein in one of these pouches, and they come in 3 different flavors as well. So this is a great thing, because it can fit in pockets and handbags, and you can even put them, by the side of the bed, that if you end up having one of those migraine days where you can't move, this can be a good option. Bear in mind, things like little packs of nuts can be helpful, but do bear in mind, for some people, nuts can be triggering, and we will cover this later on in other modules when we get into the nutrition side. But having something like that, if they don't trigger you, can also be helpful. And just going for things like regular seeds, so for example, pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds and sunflower seeds can be really helpful to have on hand, and you can just snack on those. And again, they have protein. And if you are going for, say, a banana or a piece of fruit, you might want to add some seeds or nuts just to stabilize that blood sugar. So those can be easy things to have on hand. Things like these, like roasted chickpeas, also these can be handy because they've got natural sea salt in them. Check the label, but they tend to be roasted in vegetable oil or sunflower oil, so they can be a bit more pro-inflammatory. So it's just something to bear in mind, but they are good things that you can have in the cupboard and just on the side. And again, they're not really filling. They're filling, sorry, but not heavy on the digestive system, because often when we have a migraine, our digestive system wants to sort of shut down. So sometimes we don't even really feel like eating, or we can feel nauseated, and that's not a fun place to be. Things like having bone broths on stock, or homemade soups, for example, that you can put in the freezer and bring out. And you can also make things like seeded crackers. That these can be really good because, again, they're stabilizing on the blood sugar, they're high in the protein, and they're full of nutrients like B vitamins that can be really helpful for you. Also go for things like your ginger teas, your turmeric teas, maybe go for lemon tea and lemon water. These can be really good for hydration and electrolyte balance, but bear in mind, for a few people, citrus can be triggering, and again, we'll go through the reasons why later on, but they can be good options, and it's very cleaning and cleansing on the liver, so that can be helpful. Also consider things like protein balls. So you can make these in advance, and they can sit within the fridge for about 5 days, but you can put them in the freezer and they keep for a couple of months. And you can make these from seeds as opposed to nuts. And again, they can be, again, stabilizing for the blood sugar, lots of B vitamins and lots of protein. And again, they're small, so that it doesn't take lots of digestive capacity either for them. So hopefully some of these things will be helpful for you, and do consider some of the ideas that I've given you in the module, and I will put links to some of my favorite products, so that if you do need something in a hurry, or something in the cupboard that's more healthy than perhaps, chocolate bars and fizzy pop, because this is really not going to serve you or help you, then this can be helpful for you. So just consider these and be prepared for those migraine days, because unfortunately, while we're working and waiting for that, they may pop up, and certainly even when you are stable, you might get the odd migraine, but it really can take the stress away from the situation, knowing that you've got some healthy foods on hand, and some healthy foods that are going to support you not only for those days, but also in your recovery too. Okay, see you in the next module.